Good morning, everybody. It is 10 o'clock and it's time to start our webinar. I'd like to welcome everybody that's in participation or on the call today and participating. And today we're here to talk about why do you have normal benefits when times aren't normal? Well, it's interesting. Things certainly are normal right now, with this pandemic, with this worldwide pandemic that's going on. Uh, we thought we'd put together this webinar. This is the second time we've done it, and things just aren't normal. But we've got many people still have normal benefits. So that's what we're here to talk about. Why do we have normal benefits when times aren't normal? The question that I've got when I was putting together this presentation is, have benefits really changed? Have benefits really changed? And have they changed in that sort of under 100 lives market, that smaller end of the marketplace? Have they really changed? We're going to discuss this, and especially over the last 30 years, not just the last year when this pandemic started, but have benefits really changed in the last 30 years? Plan designs, have they changed much? And what about funding? Has funding changed much? And when I look at this, over the last 30 years, I say no, not really. So that's what we're going to discuss today. And I think there's many reasons for this. So before we start, I'd like to welcome you to the Benefits Trust. We're a full service third party benefit administration company. We work with advisors like you. We work directly with advisors like you. We do not sell direct. And we've been doing this for 27 years. As I like to say, 27 years in the making. We're still making this as we go. We're still expanding. We're still growing. We're still changing. But we've been doing this for 27 years. So we've been around for some time. At the end of the presentation today, you are going to receive a number of things. You are going to receive a survey. So we want to get some feedback from you on how we did today. So we'd appreciate if you take a few moments and just answer the few questions that are there. Give us some feedback. Give us some ideas on what you'd like to see in future webinars. As well as that, you're going to receive a CE credit for participating. So we thank you very much for that. And in addition to that, you're going to be signed up for our Trusted Advisor newsletter. My name's Rob Crowder. I'm the presenter today. I'm the guy on the right, obviously. And Mike Ignatz is our moderator today. So if you have any questions throughout the presentation, just make sure you put them into the chat box, and Mike will be able to answer them right online, or he'll make sure that it's answered in the remaining time that we have left, or he'll answer them certainly offline. But feel free to reach out to us at any time, either through email or through our telephone. Reach out to us because we'd love to chat with you. If we're doing business, we want to thank you very much for your continued business. And if we're not doing business, we'd love to talk to you about how we can work together. Again, at the Benefits Trust, we work with advisors like yourself. Our agenda for today, we're going to be finished up at 11 o'clock or just before 11 o'clock, but our agenda today is why do large plan sponsors benefit plans were not affected by COVID-19. I think this is important because it sets a foundation for our discussion. Another thing we want to talk about is why traditional benefit plans are not working well for most small and mid-sized employers. I really don't believe they're working well, and I want to tell you the reasons why. So I think that's important. As well as that is what you can do as an advisor to help your clients and prospects during these changing times. I've got prospects in brackets there because we're really talking about clients. But honestly, I think this has been the best time to prospect for employee benefit new employee benefit clients that I've seen in the last 30 years. I've been doing this for I've been selling employee benefits for more than 30 years in Ontario, and I think this is the best time to prospect. So we're going to talk about that a bit as well. But today's purpose, that's our agenda, but today's purpose is really to add value to your business. You're a business owner, you're an advisor, you're a business owner, and we want to add value to your business. If we give you some ideas that can help you in your journey, in your success journey, I think today's been a great success. So what we want to do is we want to add value to your business and help you grow. Well, as the I look at Bob Dylan and his almost American anthem, if you would. Bob Dylan wrote that famous song in 1964. These times are a-Changin, and this song became really an American and a North American anthem when it was released in 1964, and it's still relevant today. But I'll tell you, these times they're a-changing right now. They're changing so much. in today's environment, I've never seen such a rapid change in the last 30 years. So, what is an employee benefit plan? An employee benefit plan is nothing more than a promise between an employer and a group of employees. It's as simple as that. It's a promise between an employer and a group of employees. And that's an important distinction. And I remember sitting in a meeting a number of years ago with a prospect, with an advisor and a prospect, and the meeting was not going well. It really wasn't going well at all. And you could see the client with his body language, he was getting frustrated. And I just sort of stopped the meeting and I said, this is when we could get together and meet. Anyways, I sort of stopped the meeting and I said, hold on a second, Mr. Prospect, what is an employee benefit program? And I have no idea where this came from in my head, but and he goes, it's what we're talking about. And you can see his frustration. And he says, It's what we're talking about. It's this group life insurance and drug insurance and dental insurance." And I said, no, an employee benefit plan is nothing more than a promise between an employer and a group of employees. And this particular businessman, or this particular business owner, this particular plan sponsor, all of a sudden, you could see his body language change. You could see the light go off in his head. And all of a sudden, he goes, "You're right. I can promise anything I want." It was a really one of those aha moments that I had in my life, in my selling career. And it's something that I've used from that point forward. So it's important to know that an employee benefit plan is nothing more than a promise between an employer and a group of employees. So the question is, what does that promise have to be? What does that promise have to be? And the answer is it's whatever the plan sponsor wants it to be. In previous webinars that I've done, and one as recently as last week when we were talking about sales, in the 416-905-647 area code in southern and central Ontario, there's 50,000 plan sponsors with under 100 employees. The marketplace is absolutely enormous. But if you've got 50,000 businesses, one thing is for sure, there's 50,000 different ideas that plan sponsors have. A plan sponsor can decide what it is that they want to promise their employees. Every business is different. There's close to, hold on a second, let me check. There's close to 50 advisors on this call today, and we thank you very much again for attending. But there's 50 different plans or 50 different advisors. There's 50 different ideas. Everybody's got their own idea. So a plan sponsor can promise whatever they want to their employees. So let's jump right into things. The first thing on the agenda is why large plan sponsors' benefit plans were not affected much by COVID-19. Well, why weren't they affected? Why did General Motors not necessarily change their employee benefit program, or why did Imperial Oil, or why did Chrysler Canada not change their employee benefit plan when COVID-19 hit? Well, let's look at things. COVID-19 hit on March 16th, 2020 here in Ontario. March 13th, everybody was going back to work. March 16th, full stop, lockdown. Everything changed on that weekend. So what happened? Well, the shutdown was province wide. It was more or less Canadian wide, but it was really province wide here in the province of Ontario. And large plans really were not affected much. So why is that? Well, probably because possibly they were union negotiated benefits and they couldn't change. They simply can't change because of the union contracts that are in place. Employers have deep pockets. Maybe they have deeper pockets than some smaller employers. That's a possibility as well. They were looking at employee retention. Absolutely true. Public relations responsibility. It's a big thing. How can Air Canada all of a sudden, cut off all of their employees from their employee benefit program? It would not go over well, right? So public relations, I think, was a key issue as well. But why employee benefits didn't change? The majority of large plans have an ASO funding model, administration services only. They pay for what they eat, as I like to say, right? They, they are responsible for their own claims. And what happened on March 16th is there were no or few claims during the shutdown. All of a sudden everything stopped. You couldn't go to the dentist, you couldn't go to the doctor, or you couldn't go to the doctor really, unless it was telehealth. You couldn't go to the physiotherapist or massage therapist. You couldn't go and get new glasses, but you just couldn't go and get claims. And it was interesting. I remember on Friday the 3rd, or actually Sunday the 15th of March, I was chatting with a dentist friend of mine, and we were at our ski club in Huntsville, and I was chatting with this dentist friend of mine. I said, geez, this is sort of unraveling. And I said, Doug, do you have, are you going to see patients this week? And he says, well, I'm not sure yet because I haven't heard anything, but I've got a full schedule of patients all week long. I ran into him a few weeks after that, and he says, since we had that chat, I have not seen one patient. So there were no or very, very few claims during the shutdown. So all of a sudden, everything shut down. Nobody was claiming. As a result of this, the cost of the employee benefit program for these large ASO groups really reduced by about 50%. And this happened for months. It reduced by 50% for months. So employers, these large employers, because they've got union responsibilities or union contracts, because they've got PR responsibilities, because they're talking about employee retention, all of these wonderful things. But the main reason why their plans were not affected that much is because they were able to contribute 50% less to keep that same promise going. Um, because of those no dental claims for months, health claims were down by 50% for months. You weren't going to the doctor because you had a sore elbow and you needed some anti-inflammatory medication. You weren't going to the physiotherapy. So healthcare claims, there was no dental claims, and then healthcare claims were down by 50%. This reduced the overall cost of an employee benefit program by 50%. We have proven this. We have proven this without a doubt. In talking to my good friend Dave Patriarch, he says this argument is only going to last a few more months. Well, that's an interesting thought. I agree and I disagree, but we're going to talk more about this later. By the way, if you're not a member of CGIB, I suggest you become a member. Dave Patriarch runs that organization, the Canadian Group Insurance Brokers Association, cgib.ca, a great organization. It's money well spent. I think it's just a few $100s a year to join, and just some valuable information through that organization. So I agree with Dave, but I also disagree with Dave, and we're going to talk more about this in a few moments. So as we're just flying along here, why traditional benefit plans are not working well for most small and mid-sized employers. That's, I think, the crux of this presentation is why traditional benefit plans are really not working well for most medium and small-sized employers. Simple answer, the plan sponsor, quite frankly, has little or no control over the costs. They have simply no control over what happens. So all of a sudden this pandemic hits, it hits. We're in the middle of this, and plan sponsors have little or no control over their employee benefit program and the cost of their benefit program. The reason for this is the traditional insured funding model. It's as simple as that. It's the traditional insured funding model. Insurance companies have done too little, too late, and too much, too soon. They said you have to continue to pay your premiums, and you've got to continue that even though claims are down by a significant amount. So insurance companies have done too little, too late, and too much, too soon. Many small businesses have had or still have reduced cash flow. They're not being able to sell their widgets, if you would. Um, it's created a great deal of strain on many small businesses, and they've got this period of uncertainty, that started again on March 16th. This period of uncertainty. They've got this reduced cash flow, but yet they still have to pay their full premiums for their employee benefit program. Pre- Premium credits came too late. All right, months late. So all of a sudden, March 16th hits. Nobody knew what was going on. Everything was shut down. Couldn't go to the dentist, couldn't go to the physiotherapist or massage therapist, and insurance companies were still saying, "Hey, you got to pay your full premium." And then they said after I think they started to announce in mid-April, early May, so sort of 6, 8, 9, 10 weeks after the fact, they said, "Hey, geez, we realize this, and people are suffering from reduced cash flows for these smaller accounts. So you know what we're going to do? Hey, we're going to give you." The plan sponsor a credit, and that credit is going to vary by company. It wasn't consistent across the board. It's going to vary by company, and they're going to give you a credit. You still have to pay the full amount, but they're going to give you a credit in June and July for those couple of months. They're going to give you a credit for somewhere between 10 and 50% of your premium. So as I like to say, premium credits came too late, months too late, in my opinion. All right, so that's the too little, too late in my scenario. Insurance companies gave too little, too late. Simple as that. Then they stopped it. They stopped the credits. They said, okay, great. We've done credits for a couple of months. I think it was like 2 months, 3 months, possibly, in some cases. But then they stopped. They said, "Okay, great. Ontario's opened up again." It's very limited on how they've opened up, but they've opened it up and they stopped the credits. So the insurance company said, "Great for the month of April and May. They're giving you the credit in June and July, but then they stopped the credits." So in my opinion, well, sorry, before that, before we go there, in my opinion, but during that time when they gave these credits and claims were way down, advisors, you still made 100% commissions. Some of you say that was fantastic because you were working very hard. You were working with your clients to help them understand what was going on. But a lot of advisors didn't even contact their clients. It was really interesting. We're still finding today advisors that are not in contact with their clients. It's just amazing. So advisors are still making the money. Credits came too late, and all of a sudden credits ended. That came too soon. So premiums were back up to pre-renewal levels in June and July 2020. So all of a sudden the contributions came, right back up in June and July, and they said, "Hey, great, we're done this lockdown. People can go to the dentist, people can go to the physiotherapist, people can go to the massage therapist, etc. So we need to stop these credits, and you're back up to pre-COVID levels with your premiums effective June or July of 2020. Too much too soon. So insurance companies did too little too late and too much too soon. And it's interesting because we look at our block of business, as a budgeted ASO provider. I don't know exactly how many clients we have at this point in time, but it's around 2,500. But we look at our claim levels, and we looked at our claim levels at the end of January. So last time we looked at them when I was putting these presentations together, and our claim levels are still at 90% of pre-COVID-19 levels. 90% of pre-COVID-19 levels. So we're not up to that 100% point. We're not there yet. And it's interesting because when I found this, the first person I called is the president of Claim Secure, who's got a multi-billion dollar block of business. And I asked Paul Hardwick, I said, "Where are your claim levels?" And he said 90% of pre-COVID-19 levels. So this is very real. So clients are paying 100% premiums, 100% of their premiums, but their claim levels are still way down. Um, and it's amazing. The main reason for this, well, insurers, and this is my philosophy, this is my opinion. The main reason for this is insurers' systems are cumbersome and they can't handle these changes. Insurers' systems are cumbersome and they really can't handle these type of quick changes. So when we think about this, another reason, another small reason is profit. Hey, they've got a contract. You got to pay the piper. It's all about profit. And it's kind of interesting from that perspective. Now insurance companies are using in their renewals the COVID adjustment factor. That's what I'm calling it, the COVID adjustment factor. They're calling it the claim normalization factor. They're calling it a whole bunch of different things. And we've seen a lot of renewals because when we look at business, when we look at new business and getting new business, we often get the previous year's renewal. So we're starting to see a lot of renewals where they've got this COVID adjustment factor in their renewals. Again, it's a normalization factor. It's like COVID didn't happen. So they're using this type of factor in their renewals like COVID never happened. It's as simple as that. So as we move forward, again, Dave Patriarch, 3-month shelf life for this argument, but this is where I challenge him a bit. What about the next shutdown? What about the next slowdown? We just had one. Ontario was shut down from December 26th until just last week. Some parts of the province were opened up a little sooner than others, but you could still kind of go to the dentist if you needed to. You could still kind of go to the physiotherapist if you needed to. But things really shut down. The Ontario government was telling you not to move around, not to leave your house, not to visit other people. So claims have come way down again because people weren't going to the dentist. They were listening to Premier Ford. They weren't going to the dentist. They weren't going to the physiotherapy, right? So I don't think this 3-month shelf life for this argument is done yet. I think it's still going to continue into the future. And what about the next pandemic? Or what about the next slowdown for that matter? We're hearing things in the media. You can't turn on the TV. You can't pick up the newspaper on your phone or the actual newspaper. And you can't help but hear about the next pandemic, the next slowdown, the third wave, the fourth wave, the fifth wave, what's going to happen in April. That's what they're talking about next. Is hey, we seem to be under the curve, but the curve seems to be going down. But what they're worried about is these variants of COVID-19, and these variants are really going to hit hard, and they're going to make the first two waves look like a cakewalk compared to what's going to happen, depending on some media sources. Well, it's interesting because I'm reading these things, you're reading these things, more importantly, your clients are reading these things and they're wondering what's going on. They're wondering what's going to happen. I'm certainly wondering this as a business owner. So, what about the next pandemic? Or what about the next slowdown? Or what about the next wave? This is very real. You know, the other thing is, have human behaviors changed? Think about it. All of a sudden, on March 16th, everything shut down. Slowly opened up. But January to January, we're still at 90% of pre COVID levels. Human behaviors have changed, in my opinion. They've certainly changed how we interact with people. They certainly changed how, hey, I'm not going to go to the dentist unless I really need to, right? Unless I really need to. During the past year, I've only been to the dentist once. Normally I go twice, right? I think humans are really thinking about how they interact with others, and especially when they go for healthcare appointments. It's interesting. Telehealth, for example. Telehealth. Everybody's got telehealth on their phone. It's free of charge in many cases. There's also, I think, better companies like Akira for telehealth, where you can, you know, send a message, and the next thing you know, you're talking to a healthcare provider that's going to assist you with your ailments, whatever the circumstances are. Human behaviors have changed. In one year, telehealth is increased by 5,600%. 5,600%. That's how much it's increased. Have human behaviors changed? Yeah, I think so. Right. So it's an amazing time we're living in. You know, people are visiting, as I mentioned, dentists differently. They're visiting hygienists, physio, chiro, doctors, etc. They're visiting these things differently. And I remember people saying, "Oh yeah, it's opened up, and I'm still going to the doctor and still going to the dentist." Well, that might be you, but a lot of people are changing the way that they do things, and changing the way that they behave. So human behaviors have certainly changed. Well, the fact of the matter is, you can agree with me or you can disagree with me. Again, I've had lots of sparkly conversations with Dave Patriarch about this and other advisors certainly about this. And you can agree, you can disagree. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what we think. It really doesn't matter what we think. What matters is what your clients and your prospects think, right? It's what they think. And you might have to help them with their thinking, but really it's what your clients and prospects think. Um, you know, the question really is, are you having these conversations with your clients and with your prospects? And like I mentioned, this is the best time to prospect that I've seen in 30 years of selling employee benefits in Canada. Are you having these conversations with your clients? Are you having these conversations with your prospects? If you're not having these conversations with your clients, you ought to. I think it's important to. As an advisor, it's time to advise, and I think it's time to understand what your client's thinking is, understand where their mindset is, understand where it is they're going, so you can help them and you can add true value. You need to understand where your client is going in order for you to add value. So it's important to have these conversations to understand where their mindset is. From a prospecting perspective, I haven't seen a better time, and it's important to have these conversations with your prospect. A great way to open up a conversation, Mr. Client, Mr. Prospect, how do you feel about how your insurance company treated you during the pandemic? It's a great prospecting question to ask. And they go, well, what do you mean? And you say, well, hold on a second. Claims were down 50%. We can prove that. Claims were down 50%. Dental claims stopped, and health claims were down by 50% for an overall 50% change in your the cost of your employee benefit program. How do you feel the insurance company treated you during that time? Well, they gave you a little bit of a credit. Your advisor was still getting paid 100%, and you can start that conversation, and all of a sudden create some not necessarily doubt, but create some interesting conversations with prospects. And you can certainly talk to clients about this as well. It's a real eye opener. It's a real eye opener, and one of the things that I know we were able to do, and I've talked about this in previous seminars and webinars, is instantly, with many of our clients effective April 1st. Again, this happened March 16th. So within 2 weeks, we were able to reduce our clients' costs by 50%. We called it not the COVID adjustment factor, the COVID funding model. So we had a lot of clients that were very, very appreciative of us being able to reduce their costs by 50% because we knew exactly what was going on. So all of a sudden, you're talking to a prospect and you're saying, "Hey, how do you feel about how your insurance company treated you during this pandemic?" And you've got some solutions in your pocket that you can illustrate what is the proper way to be treated, in my opinion. Right? So start the conversations, and this leads to creating additional value. Most advisors are not having these conversations with their clients. Most advisors are just sort of hiding behind their computers. Um, excuse me. So this creates an enormous opportunity. This creates an enormous opportunity to add value. So we're going to spend the next couple of minutes and talk about what you as an advisor can do to help your clients during these changing times. What can you as an advisor do to help your clients during these changing times? Well, change is not over. Change is not over. So during these changing times, we're saying, hey, things are changing, but you know what? Change is not over. This is going to continue for some point or for some time. Uh, and a matter of fact, change has not never stopped. When I look over the last 30 years, the best time to sell is when change is happening, right? It's when change is happening. It's not when the economy is booming or the economy is in a recession. When the economy is going up, when the economy is going down, when that change is happening, when the slopes are going up, the slopes are going down, that's the best time to sell. Um, this change that has happened, this pandemic over the last year, it is the best time to sell. But change has not stopped. It has never stopped, but it's not going to continue to stop either as we move forward. Um, but one thing is for sure, this change is in the forefront of your client and prospect's mind. It's right there. As I mentioned, you can't pick up the newspaper. You can't turn on the news on your TV. You can't open up your browser and not hear about COVID-19. There's so many media outlets talking about COVID-19, and you can hear things about the third wave, the fourth wave, the fifth wave, the sixth wave, etc. You can hear things about new avian bird flus coming into reality. This pandemic is on the front of everybody's mind in the world, everybody's mind here in Ontario specifically, and every business owner's mind. What's going to happen in the future is on their mind. Now is the best time to have these conversations because change is on your client's mind. The other thing that happened is certainly March 16th, a lot of clients said, "Hey, great, we don't want to change our benefit plan. We certainly don't want to change our benefit plan right now because we want to give that comforting message to our employees. Hey, no change in your employee benefit plan. Your whole future is unknown, but no change in your employee benefit plan at this point in time." Well, that was a year ago now. Now, this changes on the forefront of clients and prospects' mind, and they're looking for change in their compensation. They're looking for change in their employees. They're looking for change in all aspects of their world because they need to bob and weave and become profitable or continue to be profitable. Um, so change is a very real thing in clients and prospects' mind. I'm looking at our business, the Benefits Trust. We're changing the way we do business. We're doing these online webinars. We've been doing them for a little while now. But we're doing more and more of these things. We're writing more articles. We're working remotely, and as a result of this change, we're thinking even more about change in the future. So change is on the forefront of everybody's mind. The other thing is it's going to take a while to forget this one. This one's, I was talking to my kids about this when I've got three grown boys, but I was talking to my kids about this when this thing first started and we were a few weeks in, and I said, this one is for the ages. This pandemic is something that you are going to be teaching your kids about when they read about it in their history books in school. Where were you during the pandemic? And Dad, what happened when you were in the pandemic? What did you do, and how did you do things differently? So this is gonna, I think clients and prospects are gonna take a while to forget this one. You as an advisor are gonna take a while to forget this pandemic. It's gonna affect us for the rest of our lives, certainly. Um, so change is happening. Change is happening big time. It's on the forefront of people's minds without a doubt. And this one is going to take a while to forget. So when you ask a prospect or a client, how do you feel or how do you feel the insurance company treated you during this pandemic? You can ask this question for years to come, because it's going to be on the forefront of people's minds. It's going to take them a while to forget this one. So what can you as an advisor do? Well, there are a number of things, but what can you as an advisor do? The first thing is have conversations with your clients. And I think it's important to start with future based questions. Simple as that. Start with future based questions. Yeah, the pandemic is here. It's been around for a year now, but it's time. What I'm feeling and what I'm seeing on the street and what I'm feeling with prospects and clients that I'm having conversations with, it's all about the future now. They survived. Great. It's about the future. So I think it's important to start with future based questions. The best future-based question I've ever seen, and this came, I can't take credit for it. It came from Dan Sullivan, from the Strategic Coach, who's a life and business coach that I've been a participant in for the last 30 years. But it's a future-based question that can work in any situation at all. And some of you may have seen this before in presentations that I've done, but I just can't stress this enough, that this is just one of the most powerful questions that you can ask either a client or a prospect or anyone for that matter. The question is simple. If we were meeting here 3 years from today, what has to have happened for you to say it's been the best 3 years of your life? As simple as that. Mr. Client, Mr. Prospect, if we were meeting here 3 years from today, what has to have happened for you to say it's been the best 3 years of your life? Right? Ask the question and listen to the answers. The answers will amaze you. The answers will absolutely amaze you. And it's interesting. Any successful business owner you ask this question to, they're going to answer it. And they're going to give you a roadmap of where they are going in the future. Think about that. They're going to give you a roadmap of where they want to go in the future, where they're going in the future. Right? It is a incredibly powerful question. Let's just pop back to that. Incredibly powerful question. And it's interesting when you ask this question, the results that you get. And you can ask this question to your spouse. You can ask this question to your children. You can ask this question to your friends. You can ask this question. Remember we used to get together at dinner parties. All right. I used to ask this question all the time at dinner parties. The conversation was endless. It was amazing. Um, you can ask it on Zoom calls with your friends. You can ask it on Zoom calls with your prospect. Quite simply, if we were meeting here 3 years from today, what has to have happened for you to say it's been the best 3 years of your life? They're going to give you the roadmap of where they are going in the future. Ask the question, and most importantly, listen to the answer. You listen to the answer. The answers will give you the roadmap to add value over the next 3 years. In order to add value, we've talked a lot. Well, geez, I've been going to sessions for 30 years of insurance related oh my God, workshops and so on. And lots of times this is how you add value, and this is how you add value, and this is how you add value. Putting together this presentation really sort of made it clear. You have to have a roadmap of where the client is going in order to add value. So if you ask that question, if we were meeting here 3 years from today, what has to have happened for you to say it's been the most successful 3 years of your life, the best 3 years of your life? They're going to tell you what has to have happened, which is the roadmap of where they are going, which is the roadmap of how you, as an advisor, can add value to them over the next 3 years. It's as simple as that. So with these changing times that we're in, and you know where the client is going, you know where they're going down the road, what is the best funding model? What is the best funding model? Well, it's interesting. Those large clients, they weren't affected much by COVID-19 because of their funding model, right? Many of our clients were not affected that much because we were able to adjust their funding model very, very quickly. So what's the best funding model for an employee benefit program over the next while? Well, insurance companies' behavior. Let's look at the insurance companies' behavior. It's conservative, and it's very conservative to protect their shareholders. Who can argue with that? It's as simple as that. But when you look at underwriters, they're very conservative in nature. They're wearing belts, they're wearing suspenders, their pants are too short. So if they step off the curb, they're not going to get their cuffs wet. It's as simple as that. They being the underwriters and the insurance companies are there to protect their shareholders. They're there to protect their future profits. Who can argue with that? That's what I do as my business. I'm making decisions about the future to protect our future profits. It's as simple as that. Every business is doing that. You as an advisor are doing that. You're making decisions today to affect your future profits. It's as simple as that. You can't argue with that. So what's the best funding model? Um, well, your clients can argue with that. Is, that conservative approach the best funding model? Right? You can't argue with that, but your clients can argue with that. Right? That's who can argue with it, is your clients. They can say, hey, great, this is not appropriate. So as I mentioned, CGIB, and again, cgib.ca, they have a Slack channel. It's a Slack forum. It's available online if you remember CGIB, and there's, I think, Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there's like 200 people, 200 advisors on that forum right now.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, there's about 200 advisors on that forum. Um, excuse me. That was just actually a test to see if Mike was listening, but yes, he is. But there's about 200 advisors on that forum, and it's a great forum because you can just type in some questions and then people will get answers. But here's a quote that I pulled off just from a couple of weeks ago. Just got a first draft of a renewal from Sun Life and thought of your Canada Life Post, albeit a different insurer, but it hits. But similar, hit my head repeatedly against the wall fashion. Small 5 life case, first renewal, extended healthcare claims running at 64%, and dental running at 42%, and Sun Life wants a 28% increase. Hold on a second. 64 cents of every dollar was used to pay health claims. 42 cents of every dollar was used to pay dental claims. The rest was profit, but they want to increase it by 28%. Okay, it's a 5 life case. Fantastic. You know what? Who can argue with that? Yeah, guess what? The plan sponsor can argue with that. The plan sponsor can argue with that. That's ridiculous. So I say ASO is the best funding model going into the next future, or going into the next 10 years, without a doubt, during this period of uncertainty, during this period of change. This is going to continue for some time. Again, you can't pick up a media source without them talking about the change that's going to be happening, and no one knows what it's going to look like. So as a result of this, I say ASO is the best funding model going into the future. And when you look at this, this ASO funding model, it's about paying for the things that the claims that you have, being responsible for those claims that you have. I've used this particular slide many times, and we're happy to send it to you. Just reach out and we'll send you a copy of the slide. But when you think about this particular slide, it just puts it all out on one piece of paper in front of a client. You've got an employee benefit promise. Got an employee benefit promise, and that promise consists of insurance and it consists of bill payments. Insurance is to protect against catastrophic, sudden, unexpected events. You're making a promise to an employee that says, if you die, we are going to pay your beneficiary $100,000. That's a promise that an employer is making to an employee. You want to buy insurance to protect against that catastrophic, sudden, unexpected event. Insurance is there to protect against the integrity of the promise. It's there to protect against the integrity of the promise. So you buy life insurance, you buy accidental death and dismemberment insurance and critical illness, you buy long-term disability insurance, you buy out-of-country coverage, you buy large amount pooling, stop loss. And in this case, any claims over $7,500. This is a high cost, low frequency promise. A high cost, low frequency promise. This promise requires insurance. Simple as that. This promise requires insurance. Then you've got this client risk line in the middle. This client risk line. Below that is really part of the promise that is just simply bill payments. It's bill payments. It's a trip to the dentist. It's a trip to the pharmacy to get routine medications. It's a short-term disability program or a salary continuation plan. This is not insurance. Catastrophic, sudden, unexpected event. That's the purpose of insurance, to protect against catastrophic, sudden, unexpected events. I'm going to take the generic equivalent of Lipitor tonight to manage my cholesterol levels, right? That's not catastrophic. It's pennies. It's not sudden. It's not unexpected, right? It's not insurance. I'm going to go to the dentist and have a $300 bill, cleaning and a quick, cleaning at some point in the future and a quick examination by the dentist. $300, $350, whatever it's going to be. It's not catastrophic. It's not sudden. It's not unexpected. This promise is a low-cost, high-frequency promise that's part of an employee benefit program, and this requires administration services. Everybody's got a risk line. Every client has a risk line. Every advisor has a risk line. You have a risk line in your personal life. You drive cars, I'm assuming. Everybody's got insurance for their cars in the province of Ontario. If you don't, that's a problem, but that's another issue. Anyways, you got to have insurance and you've got a deductible for your insurance policy. And that deductible may be $500, it may be $1,000, it may be $5,000, but you've got a deductible and you've also got another deductible that's in your head. So, for example, Mike, if I'm over at your house and when we could visit, but if I'm over at your house and I get into I'm backing out of your driveway and back into your neighbor's car, right, and put a dent in his or her bumper, even though my deductible might be at $500 or $1,000, if I create 1,000 or 2,000 or $3,000 worth of damage, I might choose to just write a check and make that claim go away. Right. So everybody's got that risk line. And what we're saying with employee benefits, why ASO I think is better is because we don't know where claims are going to be. I think they're still going to be down because human behavior is changing. So as a result of this and the conservative behavior that the insurance companies are using to set their rates and the COVID adjustment factors and so on, I think it's important to have insurance for high cost, low frequency promises. And I think it's important to have administration services for low cost, high frequency promises. Simple as that. Uh, Clients, plan sponsors look at this slide, they go, wow, I get it. I totally get it. Our model is very simple, the benefits trust system. This is any ASO model. The monthly contribution, you can't really see that M very well in that because of the slide. I didn't catch that. Pardon me. The M and the C, it's not monthly contribution, it's monthly contribution, goes into the benefits trust or any ASO model. We buy insurance where we need to buy insurance through premiums for life insurance, AD&D, long-term disability, stop loss, critical illness, out-of-country coverages, etc. We pay for claim transactions. We pay for plan operation expenses, including your compensation. And then we send the client and you, the advisor, a financial statement on a monthly basis. This makes a lot of sense in the client's eyes. They get this, they see this. Again, how do you feel or Mr. Client, Mr. Prospect, how do you feel about how the insurance company treated you during this pandemic? And then they look at a model like this and who can argue? Right. Here's a sample of a monthly financial statement, and I don't expect you to look at the details of this in this presentation, but we can certainly discuss this with you offline. But the first column is the actual month, what happened, how much money came in, how much money went out in premiums, how much money went out in claims, how much money went out in administration and overhead, and what their balance is. The second column is year-to-date cumulative. The third column is previous year-to-date cumulative. The client is responsible for any surpluses and any deficits. Most entrepreneurial plan sponsors understand this. When you show them this type of a model, they understand this, they get this, they see this, they go, oh my gosh, this makes so much sense. This makes so much sense. They see the value immediately, especially since it's on the front of their mind of change. They see the value immediately, right? And they look at this and they look at you as an advisor and they go, why haven't I done this before? Why haven't I done this before? This is a question that I get a lot when I'm in a meeting with a prospect and an advisor. Why haven't we done this before? So it's a fascinating time, I think, to sell benefits. And one thing successful business owners know is the house wins 80% of the time. They get that. Many many advisors, but many plan sponsors have been to Vegas or they've been to a casino at some point in their life, and they know they win 80% of the time. They go there for the thrill. So, as I like to say, you know what? The successful plan sponsor wants to be the house for certain transactions. Have you ever walked into a prospect and they go, "I hate insurance companies." I don't know why I wanted to meet with you, but I hate insurance companies. Or you've heard someone say that, oh, you're in the insurance business. I hate insurance companies. I think some of you are probably sitting there. I can't see you, but I think some of you are probably sitting there going, yep, I've heard that before. When I hear that, that is music to my ears. When I hear a prospect say, I hate insurance companies, I go, fantastic. Do we have a solution for you? Yeah, you know what? I hate insurance companies too. You got to buy insurance to protect against catastrophic, sudden, unexpected events. You're paying premiums hoping something will never, ever happen. And if it does, you've got your back. But you've got to buy insurance for very specific things. So when you're looking at an employee benefit program, it's just for things like life insurance and long-term disability insurance and out-of-country coverage. It's those catastrophic, sudden, unexpected events that you've got to protect against. But all of a sudden you show them this type of a model, and yes, we're talking about that 5 live case. We're talking about that 5 live case, that 64 cents that went to spend that the client spent for health claims transactions, that the 42 cents or whatever it was they spent on dental claim transactions. Yeah, if the client had this model, they wouldn't be having that hit your head against the wall repeatedly to kind of discussion, right? So plan design, promise, keeping change in mind. It is the best time to have these conversations with your clients. You're talking about plan design. What is it they want to promise to their employees? And you've got to keep change in mind. We encourage you to visit our website, thebenefitstrust.com. We've got a number of presentations that we've done on that that are loaded onto our website. We did a webinar yesterday that some of you may have participated in, where we were talking about how the employee is changing and how the employer is looking at employees differently. Right, we're going to have that up on our website soon, but you got to look at plan design and what is it the client truly wants to promise during this period of change. And this period of change isn't going away. Again, it's going to be on the forefront of everybody's mind over the next while. So I think it's time, and I personally think it's time that a lot of plan sponsors are looking at their employee benefit program through a new mindset, through a new lens, or through a new filter. They're open for discussion. This has been going on for a year now, and it's not going away. All indications, no matter what media outlets you're looking at or what you're reading and believing, it's not going away. This was supposed to be a 6-week thing, and now it's over a year, and there's no real light at the end of the tunnel, or no, what's the word I'm looking for? No credible light at the end of the tunnel. Even with vaccinations, there's no credible light at the end of the tunnel. This is going to go on for a while. This period of change is going to go on for a while. So I think it's important to look at this through a new lens and new filter, because your clients and your prospects are looking through a new lens and a new filter. It's all about risk. As an advisor, I think we are risk managers. We are assisting our widget polishing clients, our widget manufacturing clients, our widget servicing clients. We are managing their risk. We are leading them as advisors to manage their risk, to help them on their success journey into the future. Where do we add value? We need to know where they're going, and then we need to talk about their employee benefit promise around the concept of risk. Where can we reduce risk? Where can we transfer risk to an insurance company? Where and at what point do we accept the risk, and how do we avoid risk? It's about risk, and it's about reduction of risk, transferring of risk, acceptance of risk, and avoidance of risk. Right? That's a powerful slide as well. We are we assist our clients in managing their risk. Simple as that. So it's a time to start the discussion. If we were meeting here 3 years from today, what has to have happened for you to say it's been the best 3 years of your life? It's time to start the discussion and listen. Let's find out where the client is going. We're having discussions when we've had many discussions over the years with many different clients and prospects about hybrid plan design, executive benefits, modular plan design, different benefits for different employee classes. These are all very much on the forefront of a lot of clients' minds right now, a lot of prospects' minds right now. The time is now to have these discussions. Little sidebar, some things are going on. We're seeing LTD costs going up by 30%, 40%. And the question is, how are you advising your clients? Well, it's amazing, because one of the things that the insurance companies, again, being very conservative in nature, and who can argue with that, but being very conservative in nature, they're not sure where claims are going to go with respect to COVID. They're looking at a lot of mental health claims in their long-term disability program. So where are things going? Well, if you got a 30% increase in long-term disability benefits, you can certainly look at a 24-month benefit or a 60-month benefit, or increasing the waiting period for the long-term disability. You can have different benefits for different classes of employees. All of these options are available on the table. Easy to implement, and you can have these, again, different benefits for different levels of employees. But as I like to say, it's time to start, or it's time to have these discussions before somebody else does. It's as simple as that. It's important to have these discussions before somebody else does. it still blows my mind. Just blows my mind. We'll meet with a prospect over a Zoom meeting right now. With an advisor. I get called into these meetings all the time, and we're meeting with a prospect, and we're asking some of these questions. Just a simple question. Hey, if we were meeting here 3 years from today, what has to have happened for you to say it's been the best 3 years of your life? And how do you feel how the insurance company has treated you during this, pandemic? And we're having these discussions, and they're going, geez, I'm not hearing from my advisor. I can't remember the last time I heard from him. He sends me an email with the renewal. This is what we're finding on the street. Have this discussion before somebody else does, right? And we're happy to have this conversation with you. So let's set up a time. We can have this conversation. We want to know where you're going so we can assist you with that. We can assist you with that. We want to know where you're going on your success journey so we can add value to your practice to help you get to where you're going. But be prepared. If we have a conversation, the first question I'm going to ask you is, if we were meeting here 3 years from today, what has to have happened for you to say it's been the best 3 years of your life? That's what I'm going to ask you. That's how we're going to start the conversation. So we're running out of time here. We've almost been together for an hour. Wow, that went quick in my opinion. So why do you have normal benefits when times aren't normal? It's a great question to ask as well. Why do you have normal benefits when times aren't normal? Guess what? Normal is just a setting on your washer and dryer. Normal is just a setting on your washer and dryer. There's no such thing as normal. There's no such thing as normal. And people are understanding this more and more. And this pandemic that we are in is the forefront of everybody's mind. It's reality today. It's not going to end anytime soon. And most importantly, plan sponsors, your prospects, your clients are not going to be forgetting about this. This is something that's going to go on in their minds for a while. There's no such thing as normal. Why do you have normal benefits that haven't changed in really 30 years when things aren't normal? A great time to prospect. COVID-19 has just brought this notion of change to the forefront of your clients and prospects' mind, without a doubt. COVID-19 has just brought this notion of change to the forefront of your clients and prospects' mind. Now is the time to prospect. Now is the time to deal with your clients and add true value. You need to know where they're going to add that value. It's as simple as that. It's the best time to prospect for new benefits that I've seen in the last 30 years. I've been saying this all the way through this presentation, and I agree that it's true without a doubt. So I say take advantage of this time before somebody else does. It's the time is ripe for prospecting without a doubt, and adding value to your clients. As I like to say, why waste a perfectly good pandemic? Why waste a perfectly good pandemic? It's amazing on how open people are for discussions. As we move along here, we want you to visit thebenefitstrust.com. Lots of valuable information on that. We give you permission to plagiarize anything off of our website. Go to the Advisor Resource Center on our website. There's a lot of valuable tools that you can use as an advisor on that in that section. At the end of the presentation, sometime today, you're going to get a very short survey. Please fill it out. Please fill it out. Give us some feedback on how we did today and other subjects you want to see covered in future events that we put together. And you're going to receive a CE credit for participating. So on behalf of all of us at the Benefits Trust, we want to thank you for that and participating. And we were going to give you a CE credit for participating. So look for that. If you are new to the Benefits Trust, we're going to sign you up for our Trusted Advisor newsletter, which comes out monthly. And if you are not new to the Benefits Trust, you will certainly already be receiving that. Lots of great information on that newsletter as well. We blog frequently. There's a lot of those blogs on our website, over 150, I think, on our website right now. So check it out for sure. So on behalf of all of us at the Benefits Trust, we spent 55 minutes together. That's close enough to an hour for your CE credit, without a doubt. So we want to thank you very much for your time. And again, don't waste a perfectly good pandemic. Now is the time to talk to your prospects about their future and add value to it. Now is the time to add value to your clients and talk to them about their future. Again, the time is right. It's on their mind. Talk to them before somebody else does. Thanks for your time, folks. It's been a great pleasure. I'm glad we got to spend an hour together, and I look forward to hearing from you in the future. If we're doing business together, thank you very much for your continued business. And we'd like to do more. And if we're not doing business with you, we want to, and we want to show you how we can help you grow your business. We're going to reach out to you as well. Reach out to us. And I look forward to the future and an exciting future. Bye for now.